Uh-oh, the sign's off. You know what that means. Oh, wrong button. We are back. What do we have up here? Oh, we got a screen up there today. That's not too interesting. What is display capture, image slideshow? So I got a bunch of stuff up. I never did put that one up. Okay, so a few screens. While I'm here, give me a moment. I have to add a button to my keyboard. And we want, we want a scene. I forgot to do this. We're going to call it slide. Do we title it? Sure we do, people. We'll title it slide. It's not important. It's there. So you may have had a problem with your computer at one point or another where you get this, and if that camera froze, that's crazy. You see the little Windows logo. I know this is the thumbnail, or you come up to a screen like that, which is coincidentally the same screen that we're on here. So yeah, if you see your Windows logo and it's spinning and it comes up to a recovery screen or your computer couldn't start, there are a few things that you can try. Okay, so guess should I move this? We'll just go with the repair only, that way you can see it. So recovery, you can try restarting your computer. Oftentimes that's going to work. I've had it happen with something as simple as shutting the lid on the computer before it turned all the way off, or if it was restarting. If you hit the power button, but I've had it happen when updates are going through. Just happen out of the blue when you're trying to do Windows updates. The computer's starting up. If you have a kid and that kid comes around and gets a hold of the computer and is pushing your power button, turning it on and off, you're probably going to get a screen like that. That's another thing. There's many ways that you can arrive at this destination that we're looking at here. Okay. One of the first things that you could try is restarting the computer. If it gets you back up to here, or diagnosing your PC, or preparing automatic repair, let it follow through. After a couple restarts, if you get nowhere with it, and you can end up here. Yes, that awful word from malware, adware, stuff that infects the same destination. Okay, anything can make that little spinner spin and not let you enjoy your computer the way that you want to. Okay, so let's get back to this. We've already restarted a few times. Awesome exhaust, or awesome no exhaust, I should say. You've already restarted a few times. You're up at recovery. Let's see advanced repair options. And go in here. Now exit and continue to Windows 10. Troubleshoot, or just turn off your PC and take it to your computer guy, or computer gal, computer girl, whoever does your work for you. Turning it off and doing that is one option if you don't want to partake in a task, but it's usually fairly easy. Whenever you're dealing with the malware, that's when it tends to get a little more technical and stuff that's real effective. So let's go with troubleshoot. Now, you could reset the PC and usually when you reset you can keep your files. That's not the option I go with first though. I go on down here to advanced options. If you were on a previous version of Windows, you could try that, but I don't recommend that because you upgraded to 10 for a reason, right? You don't want to go backwards, you want to stay, and you don't want to go back to 7, definitely. That's going end of life January of next year, and they've already extended it. It's done. Once January hits, I think January 14th, Wild West for Windows 7. Okay, so we're not going to go back to the previous version. We could let startup repair try again over here. We don't want to do that. We could go to the command prompt and do a check disk. That is after, if the next option we're going to go with. If this doesn't work, then we'll go to the command prompt and try a check disk space whatever, C:// R/ if you wanted to repair /F, I think is the /F fix. Startup settings we're not going to play with. System image recovery, I never really get into that. I don't have a separate or a specific image file. I usually go with the system restore option. Go in here. We have the user account. There is no password. Let's see if it takes it. Indeed it does. Starting system restore. Once you get here, go ahead and hit next. Now, where you know you can't do a system restore is the very next screen. If it does not have a restore point listed, like if there's no actual restore point listed here with a date, time, description, you're not going to have anything to restore to. Let's go ahead and give this a shot and see if this gets us back to where we want to be, booted into Windows. You can also show more restore points. We have some there. We've got mostly Windows updates, one that was done manual when this was in. So yeah, quite a few to choose from. We're going to go with the most recent to keep it closer to today's present date. So we'll select and see if this thing is going to restore for us. Hit finish. Once started, system restore cannot be interrupted. Are you sure you want to continue? When you are doing this, don't interrupt it. It can oftentimes make it more of a hassle for you. And you may end up having to take it to somebody to get repaired. So once you start the system restore, let it go through. If you click yes, you mean it. You're not going to go back on your word, right? Right? You're not going back on your word. You wouldn't do that, right? Okay, so let's do this. We're sure, we're going to click yes. Hopefully this works. And I can't believe everybody's seeing it. See, this is what's wild about some computers. This is really wild about some computers. Some of them you can plug in and you can see the BIOS coming out of the VGA out or the HDMI out, DisplayPort, mini DisplayPort, whatever they have on the side where you can run to an external monitor, or in this case, a capture card plugged into my computer. Some of them you can't. You can't see the BIOS, you can't see the boot process, but you can go from your login screen with Windows to the desktop and see it. And no, it's not manufacturer specific. I wish it was. I really, really wish it was manufacturer specific. Like, oh, Toshiba, you can capture everything from the post screen on up. Whoever, Lenovo, you can't. HP, Dell, you can. No, it's not like that. It's just random. It all depends on the type of display that they have and how it's set up. If they're doing external display port, if it's an LVDS cable or a mini display, you know, how is the screen hooked up internally and how is that routed compared to the video out port? So, yeah. Confusing, but yeah, it all depends. There's no definitive answer. I wish there was. It would make it a lot easier. But we don't want easy. We want something that keeps us thinking, right? Alright, so this could take a bit. I printed a book In the meantime, while this is doing its thing, we'll pull the camera back up. Anybody that may have caught, I think, a stream from last week. And sorry if this isn't real big, I know. I'm going to keep up the computer we're working on plus what we're talking about now. You may have seen me pull this up in a browser. This is the 3DR Solo battery mod for dummies. Warning, before you do anything, watch this video. And the video is what happens to a punctured LiPo battery. They pretty much burst and go into flames instantly whenever they get punctured. It's not a pretty sight. And they make one heck of a fireball. And not only that, once you catch these bad boys on fire, depending how big of a battery you got, and how big, I don't mean physical size of the battery, this or a tiny one. I'm talking how big of a battery and how many cells. Is it a 2-cell, 3, 4, 5, 2S, 3S, 4, 5S, 6S? Do they make 10-cell batteries? I'm pretty sure they make monster ones. However many cells are in there is usually how many pops or bursts you may get when they go up. So, they're not fun. They're hard to put out. Do not throw water on them. If you can, get sand, get a bucket of dirt. If you're ever dealing with a LiPo fire, do not throw water on it. It may work, it may not, I don't know, but I've always been told not to throw water on it. So let's get back over here to the repair. That's still going. We're going to do this the solo battery mod for dummies. This guy wants this done. We have a little bit of soldering to do. I'm going to try and organize some stuff while our system restore is going on. If you guys hear a da-dung, it's literally just me pulling my memory card out of my computer. Let's clean up the camera gear for the day. Couple new things coming in. I think it's going to make it pretty interesting, pretty cool. I do want to upgrade the quality of the streams with, I obviously have access to better cameras. We've got a mirrorless camera here. Webcams are good. They are good. I don't know. There's a little to be desired still for quality with the Logitech webcams. I mean, for your basic streamer, I suppose, and if that's all they ever want to get in, but I want to bump up the quality a little bit. So I've got a couple neat things. Maybe we'll do a stream setting that stuff up. We're going to get something a little more sturdy for, we've got this cam here, and as you can see, it's pretty shaky. I'm going to get something that holds it a little more sturdy in place, and then also, I'm not sure, we may end up replacing this arm with something a little different. If not, then maybe from this cam, I think, beside it, I'm going to have something mounted to where I can do, what's it called? You'll get the idea. Here, where I could do like swing the camera out and do like a top-down close-up shot for getting kind of in macro a little bit. And it truly won't be macro, it's just going to be whatever the zoom range of this lens is, my kit lens, which is a 14 to 42. So yeah, whatever the range of that is what it'll do. But it's a pretty specific arm, but I need to modify it before it's going to do any actual work for us. Alright, let's throw this back up and check our status. It is still restoring. We're going to see where it's at. Maybe it'll fail. But yeah, if this happens to you, don't panic. Just walk through the steps. Try restarting a few times. If that don't work, then go to the system restore. If system restore doesn't work, well, we will proceed from there. If it don't work. But your next logical step after system restore is the command prompt to try a check disk and an SFC scan now. And if those fail, then that's where you try and reset the PC. If that fails, that's where you're in trouble and you're doing a reload. Time to pull your drive, plug it in as external, do a backup, and then reinstall Windows on your computer. I think I've said it a few more times. Sorry to beat the same horse, and I guess it's not really horse beaten. If it's info that's, what, usable, I guess is a good word. If you have a computer, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, that you have previously upgraded to Windows 10 for free, go ahead and download the media creation tool onto a working computer. Create a Windows 10, most likely 64-bit. And I think we went over that one day. 64-bit install image for your computer onto a USB drive. Install Windows 10. Skip the part where it says I have a product key, or it probably should just install if you've already had that hardware activated with Windows 10. If it doesn't just go through and it still wants the key, skip it, and once it gets to Windows, it will be activated. If you've reloaded it recently, you may have to call Microsoft to activate said computer. But it'll go through fine. Don't start back at 7 and then activate it and then upgrade to 10 again. That's, I mean, you can. It's a lot of work, but nah. Alright, that boring blue screen, not for me. Not for me. Alright, let's continue cleaning up some. This is going to be interesting. Here, we'll throw the big one up while we clean this up. So I'm not real excited about doing this this modification to this battery. I mean, I've modified a few batteries in my time for RC doing stuff. Made a battery. The battery, basically the battery you get with your Fat Shark FPV goggles. Real low capacity, and you can take and make one where you're wiring these batteries up. A couple 18650 lithium ion. Is that what they are? Are they lithium ion? I hate when I give inaccurate info. I believe they are. They're real common for, what do I want to call them? E-cigarette mods, or vape mods. The unregulated boxes, regulated boxes. This has its own battery in. So, alright, you're charging, we'll put you there. We gotta keep checking back in on this thing. Alright, so it's still restoring. We'll leave it there for a few and get some of this stuff out. This isn't interesting. We'll get to the interesting part where it's potentially going to blow up in our face. Oh boy. So he has that. Ha 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 ha. So here, what, did he already do all the work? Boy, I don't know if he did do the work. These wires don't seem like they're sorted out in the right order. Oh boy. Okay, so while this is doing its thing, we'll pull this back up. We have got a massive 5200 milliamp 35C. So a 14.8 volt. Is that 4-cell? Yeah, it's a 4-cell 5200 milliamp battery here. That is some power in that thing. You've got 5 wires coming out on the balance lead that have to go to this, that go to this, and all 5 of these wires got to be connected right, okay, which are going to plug into this board. This board, the BMS, is out of an actual 3DR battery. One of his batteries, I think, died and quit charging. So this guy's going to print a custom shell to kind of sit over the battery, but we're taking the electronics from an official battery and joining them up with a replacement battery of the same capacity. And if you get one wire wrong, you're going to be in trouble. You're probably going to ruin your interface for connecting to your 3DR Solo and the BMS here. All kind of stuff. Wow, he heat shrinked that and it's not even covered. I don't know what to tell him. We'll do the work though, and hopefully not blow it up in our face. What could go wrong? This is like where I wish I had a button to cue the, and this is where he knew he'd effed up. we got the guide for dummies here. Come on, I'm a dummy, like grade A, primo dummy. What could go wrong? Wow. So all those are coming straight off. I'm pretty sure this guide for dummies, looking at this cable. Okay, let's look at this. If we want to fan all these wires out, hold on, are they right? They might actually be right. That would be really awesome if they were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this might actually be right. So what scared this guy? Let's take a look here while we're restoring. This, like I said, this may take a bit. What have we got to lose? Is this better? Okay, this will get us in here. Get us in closer to the action. Wear face protection. Goggles are a must. Best is a full face mask. I don't have a full face mask, but I got some goggles. A little bit more closer up. Not only that, this camera here, when my package allegedly that is going to arrive tomorrow from Amazon, this camera is going to be closer, so we won't have to have the zoom level as far on. See, we've got that level, and then we've got this one. It's not going to have to come down as far. Anyhow, this is what we're looking at. There is the battery opened up, so you can see the orientation of this board, which is basically like that. That's kind of what we're looking at. You can't see the bottom of it, so it's that there. We've got the BMS, which he heat shrinked over it, but he failed to cover 6 of the pins. He only covered, well, he covered 6 out of 12. We need to get those other 6 covered because that's where all the power is running through. And then there is an on-off button. Why he did the heat shrink over that, we're gonna have to crack that open, put some epoxy behind it to strengthen it a little. And he's going to need to be able to hit that, I believe, to calibrate this battery. I'm pretty sure this little tiny tact switch button is going to have to be pushed at some point, at least at one point in the calibration process. So let's keep looking through. They're doing some technical stuff. Set the battery. We need to rally around the flag. And why this battery mod exists, let's cover that for 3DR Solo people looking at this in the future. Sorry you had to go, how long into it? 24 minutes into the video before we actually start talking about this. The reason this battery mod exists is because at a point in the past, Genzace, they discontinued the battery. It's the very same battery that they use, this is, in building the OEM Solo battery that you're flying around. So this battery pack for the 3DR has one of these inside it. I don't know the specific brand, but it has this capacity 35C battery in it, 4-cell battery. Just the step up. Like I was saying with the car, we run 2-cell in the car. If we put a 3-cell battery in that thing, it really rips. when you're flying planes, most fly on little 3-cell batteries, and you put a 4-cell battery, such as one of these, in an airplane, it's going to have a smaller profile and a little bit lower capacity, but a 4-cell, or even a 4-cell on your little racing drone, racing quadcopter, or a tricopter. Yeah. Here's a comparison. Okay, here is a drone battery. This is a 4-cell 50C. This is a 4-cell 35C. 1300 milliamps right here, 5200 milliamps. So much higher capacity, faster, like a better discharge rate than this one. This one has a higher discharge rate, and that's for like if you're flying and you just want to punch out and going along and you want to skyrocket that drone straight up. That's where this is going to be a little better for with the 35C or 50C. That C rating, you get just a little more punch on it, as far as I know from experience and research, like reading about it when they started rating the batteries like that. But yeah, both 4-cell, both batteries. We don't have a watt hour listed on the one that I'm aware of. Hold on. Okay, so 19.24 watt hours versus 77 watt hours. 5200 milliamp, 1300 milliamp. Either way, even with the small battery. Okay, so system restore did not complete successfully. Your computer's system files and settings were not changed. Okay, so let's go for a different restore point. We're going to flip all these papers back over, and we will go for a different restore point. I much prefer doing a restore point to lighting myself on fire or blowing something up in my face. Alright, let's go back and try another one here. We'll get the distracting me off the stage. Watch it reboot. How great would... Oh, it's going to reboot. Let's see what it does. We try to system restore. Will it fail? Will it boot? You never know. We got a Windows logo. That is promising. Let's find out what's going to happen here. If it boots. So we tried that. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay, so another slight tweak that I did with the sound. Hopefully it sounds a little better, sounds different. I adjusted the noise gate and a few other things. And we got our white spinner. How exciting is this? Once this problem here is riddled out, solved, can't be too soon. It's not like a plague, but it had, okay, and there we go. So we couldn't do a system restore, but we're gonna let this thing boot, Pat. We're working on making a computer great again. So my previous reboots did not work. Another time when stuff like this can happen is when you get impatient and it boots up to a black screen with the spinny thing without it. Both of those situations, with or without the spinner, and it's a black screen, It could be finishing, updates, anything. It could be repairing itself. So don't be impatient and turn it on and off. That's just going to get it to a state where it won't boot. So we attempted a system restore. It didn't work. Upon a simple reboot after trying that, it came up. I don't know why, but it did. So far, so good. And there we have it. We're going to let this one load. It is an older, slower 5400 RPM hard drive, so okay, we got our system restore message coming up that it failed on us. Let's go ahead and close that. I'm just going to go ahead and hit close on that one final time. Oh, let's let it reboot first. We'll put the spinner there so we can see. Simplest advice, don't panic. Try a couple reboots. If that don't work and you get the recovery screen, get the automatic repair could not repair your computer, you may get an error message about SRT trail.txt at whatever location. Go to advanced options, try a check disk, try an SFC scan now. You can try that ahead of time if you want. I usually go right for the system restore. If it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. And I move on from there. I definitely go to the command prompt next. In this case, we never got that far. It literally booted, so maybe I wasn't patient enough for this video. But we're back up again. Here indeed is the computer. Let's try and alright, we got the screen turned up. This is the computer in question, the one that you're seeing when we go here. That's the desktop of it. We'll move me out of the way. We got the little mouse here, and then mouse down in the corner. So yeah, case solved. Let's light ourselves on fire. Can't wait. Can't wait. Not excited at all about this. Give me a moment here. I'm going to go ahead and Alt F4. We're going to do a restart and make sure this thing's going to come up again, hopefully, where it needs to be. Let's throw it over there. Restarting. Perfect, it's coming up. Alright, case closed on this one. It's going back out the door. I think it was a symptom of being turned on and off by a kid, but I cannot be sure. I can't say for sure, but that's my thinking on it. Because he used it, it was fine. I think a grandson got a hold of it and it wasn't fine. I think a bunch of on and offs got it to where it was. The recovery screen, and us just letting it sit and sort itself out and attempting to restore kicked it into gear. I don't get real technical. No need to. Just go for done, and we have some successes, we have some failures. I'm going to call that a success. Oh, we hear the cars going by again. Alright. Please wait, it is restarting. Let's, alright. Everybody sees that, it's restarting. We're going to pull the display cable. I'm going to let it sit here. I want to see how much battery this thing has before I go unplugging it and get it right back to where it was. Well, I wonder, you know what? I don't think I have my goggles here. I think we're gonna have to look like an idiot with some aviator shades on. The aviator sunglasses protect your eyeballs enough from exploding batteries? Okay, we've got, let's find out, we'll let it boot real quick. We're gonna find out how much battery it got once it gets to where it needs to be. It's an old slow hard drive. We recommended an SSD. It wasn't that important. I think he's gonna get a new computer before he does any upgrading. We recommended the SSD without, while saying at the same time it's probably not worth it. It would just be easier and better and much more economical to buy a newer computer than to keep repairing an old one. Okay, so there's no battery in. I guess that's what this is. Let's try and put this battery in without losing the connection to Alright, we've got a battery. It's got some charge going. 85% available, plugged in, charging. That's enough to move it out of our way and we can get our battery stuff over here. So let's do that. HDMI, goodbye. Let's bring you out of the way. Sunday was a bloody nightmare trying to get the podcast going, and just, I don't know what, I think something got reset and I just didn't notice it. Sunday before work at the actual day job, mic levels were so far off. Tim, my co-host, his voice was not cutting into my mic at all. My gate was working properly. I looked at his and we tried to tweak and adjust the noise gate to keep everything that we could to keep me out of his mic, and I was coming through in his mic just about as loud as he was. Did the actual day job, but at night, came back after that, ripped down the whole studio, which was all the outboard gear, the USB audio interface, the recorder, everything, rewired, reset all the levels, did the gain staging, proper gain staging, and everything works awesome now. So, apologies anybody that caught the show Sunday or may catch it in the future. It should be back to normal now. From what I can tell, it will be. But it's kind of hard when you got two different people's voices that talk differently. I'm more there and present and speak a little louder into the microphone. Tim is loud enough to be heard, but not as present as me. Not only that, it's two completely different mics, two completely different effects processors. But as long as we have the same output volume going into the recorder, which gets the sound to you people, what you're hearing me through now, the recorder, mixer, audio interface, it's not all in one device. Have we ever seen that on camera? Can we show? We can't really show it, can we? It's a mess over there, but we'll try. You're gonna go upside down. It is that thing with the glowing lights. This. It's a nice little box. Not much bigger than my hand. Not even as thick as two fingers. So yeah, that's the heart of the studio. That thing is magical in what it does. That device, not that exact device, okay? Let's do some bragging quick. Not that exact device, but the company that makes it. How can we show you this? Sound devices, showcases, ultra versatile. So Can we pull this article up here? You can see the recorder there, and this is a recorder that they showed off. Celebrating 20 years of excellent sound devices, the audio manufacturer whose products are trusted worldwide for award-winning productions, including Game of Thrones and La La Land, will be exhibiting at IBC 2018 Stand A32. Highly portable, extremely versatile mixed pre-series of audio recorders, mixers, and USB audio interface. So it's a multi-function device. And this top one is what does the mixing for the sound from the computer and the microphones, the wireless mic, and then Sunday is multiple microphones, the computer, if somebody calls in, if we have another person on mic here, any computer sounds, whatever, this handles it all and sends it out to you people out there on the Googles, the internet, on the line. So, wonderful device. If you can afford one and you're looking at getting one, get one. I'm going to do an official review on it. That's one thing I don't like about reviews. I guess if you get a device and you have it for a couple weeks, a month, a couple months, you can kind of give a review, but to get a device, use it for a few days, a few weeks, you kind of have an idea. But if you have it for a year or more, you really know about that device and what it can do, can't do, versus a week or two. But if you're a professional, you can kind of go off the specs and what it's allegedly, what the so-called device can do. All right, let's get our solder station. We're gonna have to look at these, so there's gonna be some bits of silence. I'm grabbing a drink before we do anything. Here, we'll mute so everybody don't have to hear that. All right, solder station. Of course you did. I love it when you go to pick something up and every wire in the vicinity gets tangled in with it. Oh boy, okay. Some of this mess out of our high traffic zone. Go back to where you came from. You're in the way. Alright, can we get... Sure we can, we'll just move that. Alright, we got this on standby. We won't need the hot air gun. Unfortunately, you can't unplug it like you can the soldering iron. Yeah, we'll set those there. Get this. We need to get some water there. I know, it's horrible for cleaning your soldering iron off. I don't have any copper, like steel wool, but copper wool here. Or a copper scrubbing pad, whatever it is that they put in there, bronze, copper. There's one that pulls solder off the gun more so than others. Alright, we've got quite a bit there, just enough. You gotta go with what you got, right? I mean, that's the thing. Use what you have. Let's put this away. You thought I was kidding, right? Some scratched up, beat up, yellow, fake as hell aviator shades. Are these aviator or cop sunglasses? I don't know, something, man. But they're scratched. I used to use these flying, and then they got stomped on by a kid, I think. Kicked around a little bit. Who knows? Something. Let's clean them up real quick while we're here. Wow. Use our screen cleaner on the glasses. I don't have my goggles here, so they were taken home. I was soldering at home on a keyboard. I don't always wear them on soldering, but when soldering extremely thin stuff like keyboard switch contacts, yeah, solder can pop at any time. It's never good to forego safety first, but safety first. If I had a face mask, I would be wearing it. I'm comfortable working around and with these batteries and using them for RC, but they scare the daylights out of me. If you haven't a clue what I'm talking about other than me mentioning it in this stream and any other that I have, go watch that video. Just Google punctured LiPo, and you'll find stuff on the internet that, yeah. If it doesn't scare you, it should. If it doesn't, maybe you need to go get your amygdala evaluated and see like what's wrong, why you're not scared of stuff, or why it takes a higher level than one of these blowing up to get you scared a little bit. Eye protection. Let's go over these papers. Alright, we got the BMS removed. I think we can come back later. We will cut into this and put epoxy behind it, or possibly cut that off. Put epoxy behind that switch. What it is, and it's already starting to bend from being heat shrinked as such, is using your thumb to press that switch without the support that was behind it. When this was in its actual casing, it had a support behind it. Without the support, they will rip off the circuit board super easy. I'm going to let that guy know that he's going to have to get some heat shrink that size. I don't currently have anything. And we're still out of Capcom tape. We need to get some more. That's something we could use to cover there. As per the illustration says right here. There. Yeah, we don't want to glue the button fast. Let's keep learning about this. Like, I see what they're doing. That's the old battery. Okay. We don't care about the old battery. Prepare replacement battery for BMS attachment. Do not remove your face protection. Connector blocks in the photo once prepared. Solder the wires. Slide the tubes over your splices and shrink. Attach the XT60 connector to the power leads on the BMS. Okay, so we need to connect this to that and then heat shrink over it. Yes, of course. Oh. Alright, people out there, future watchers, current watcher, when you're dealing with batteries and this stuff, your black wire is usually always going to be your ground. Your red has your power in it, your voltage. It takes both of them to complete the circuit. When dealing with XT60 specifically, which this is it XT60? Yeah, 100% it is. Does it fit mine? I don't have any XT60 out. Okay, yeah, it is though. I'm going to trust it. The red wire on an XT60 connector, let's show you this shape over here on the good cam, if we can get it to focus. There is a shape to that connector. It has a beveled top side, so it's flat with bevels going, a bevel, flat, and then another bevel. Then it shoots down the sides, and then there's a flat bottom. The red wire connects to the flat side, or you can look at the outside of the connector. Let's go. I'm trying to show. I don't know if it's focusing. It looks like it, but anyhow, yeah, there's your XT60. The flat side is always positive, or red, or any color other than black. But it's usually always red and black is what they tend to use when going into these batteries. Another problem I could see, no, I guess I don't see it happening here. Those wires are pretty thick coming off. I would have got a thicker one of these connectors. However, let's look at these pictures. Alright, so they left those leads long. He cut them. Oh, okay, he cut them instead of unsoldering them. So to match up kind of to this photo and what they've got going on here, let's look at this one real quick. Are we zoomed in? Okay, we are. Is this one any better? Can't wait till we can use a good camera. So what I'm looking at is this picture here, and how they have the red lead coming across, and then they also have the black lead, and as you can see, it connects underneath the red lead there, where that is laying in the picture. And it almost looks like if I unsoldered that connector, or I guess I could leave that there, and we'll just chop this XT60 connector, chop the black one off in the middle, attach those two, and then wherever those two cross, we'll chop and tin it and resolder it. That should be enough. That's what they got going on, and match the bottom photo now to see what kind of room we need. You don't have much space and you can't be far off. It really doesn't tell you the length. Last time I was building, when I built my tricopter, David Windestål, guy from Sweden, he runs rcexplorer.se for the tricopter builds and the videos, well documented. He would tell you the length, usually in centimeters or millimeters, and then you'd have to do the conversion. But after a few build videos and just refining the methods, he actually started telling you in centimeters and inches. Like he would do metric and standard American sizes of how much wire length you should leave for it to work out good. This has none of that, so let me go ahead. We need wire strippers. if we can get them. There they are. And we want roughly a 1/4 inch. Let's see if that will strip those. Curiosity's sake. Oh yeah, working good. Okay. Let's hope the aviator shades still stay on. So we've got that. Literally, where's my other wire? Boy, that looks like it almost needs redone. That's pretty long wire. That is going to plug in there. And then he has, what is it, a temp wire? It looks like a temperature sensor wire. Or who knows. I don't see it in the picture other than, wait. Okay, so yeah, it just kind of has a little coil to it and then sets right there somewhere. Okay, there's a, alright, with that said, let's get to it. That's a solo charger. $5,200. Let's flex these wires a little. We've got that. Let's see. This is where it gets tricky. When you start plugging things in, obviously if you plug your power lead into here, you cannot arc these two out. It could damage your battery. You don't want to do it. So we're going to go there beside it. This. What does he have going on? Okay, it's kind of laying flat at an angle. Yeah. And that's going to take a turn. Where that takes a turn. Uh-oh, we got a visitor. All right, that's one. Let's strip that, and then we're going to find placement of that. What's up, man? You back? You're back. Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna blow a I'm gonna blow a battery up in my face for whoever happens to be watching. I don't have my goggles here, but I do have something that's gonna make me look extremely dumb. Aviators or.
I have a full face shield.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's what it recommends as a face shield.
When we get it?
No, I'm fine. I honestly should be wearing it, but I haven't blown one up soldering it yet. So either I get to look like a dick in those glasses or these glasses.
Oh, I go with the red and black.
Red and black.
That's cheap.
The red and black glasses or the aviators. If we had an audience here and people commenting, we would take a vote on which ones. All right. And that makes the turn. That's actually how we're going to do it. We're going to unsolder this one wire lead here. Boy, if that just don't make the turn somehow, I'm going to be kind of upset that it looks like it almost would though, because that's actually longer than the picture. Yep. All right. Made my mind up. That lead's coming off of there. So let's do that quick before we got to put on sunglasses. Hey.
All right. I'm going on. I'm not gonna roast.
Well, give me a second. I'm gonna hit mute here. We got to talk real quick about a computer.
What color is it?
Give me 1 second, people. 1 second. Well, more than a second. Unmuted now, people. I got one thing for here. I don't want to say what it is because it's unmuted now, but it's this awesome thing for that. It'll be a lot better setup, and then I have the other thing that I've been talking about, for mounting the camera on. Yeah. So yeah. Anyhow, I'm gonna do this battery thing. You have a good night. Yeah, we need to order that part though for that. You just want to do that tomorrow?
What?
For that HP?
And is it in my mail?
No, I'll send it to you.
It's good. No, I can do it tonight.
Do you think that's a good idea though? Like, as a whole?
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't want just some greedy person off the street or somebody that already got a whole, you know, room full, got a couple laptops and a desktop. I want somebody that actually needs a computer that doesn't have it to get it. I would like for that to happen. Yeah, it's unmuted, but they've already heard that crap. Alright, have a good one.
Alright, buddy, I'll talk to you soon.
See ya. Alright, time to solder this battery and blow ourselves up. Oh no, I'm locked in. I'm definitely not getting out till it's done now. Alright, here's what we're going to do. That is real close, and that's right about where it needs to be once it takes the turn. According to the photo, this black wire, let me get my handy pointer here. We're going to take this black wire off and replace it with that one. Before we do that and do any connections, we need to get heat shrink over these ends here. Guy didn't have them on there, so we're going to go ahead and do that quick. We've got just the stuff to do the job. I think once we shrink them, don't mind the heat gun. Once it gets warmed up, it silences itself down. Alright, nothing real hot. We've got about 282 degrees coming out of our hot air station right now. We're going to go ahead and shrink those a little and then pull the heat away. I want to try and get them tucked in. And not enough. Maybe that's too big. Let's see if we got something slightly different size. I think we're all out, unless if this fits over, what luck that is. I don't think it will. Yeah, it's probably not going to slide. It does, but it's not going to fit. Let's try it. Let's cut a piece off and try it. If it does, I'm happy. I didn't think it would slide over the insulation. I know it definitely won't slide over the thicker insulation, but I don't think we have to go that thick. If this goes down over the contact, then yay. If it don't, no. Once it gets to where the solder is. Alright, so what do we do in that case? When you have heat shrink that one's too big and it's not going to shrink enough, and it's just a little bit too small that it won't squeeze down over your contact. Let's go here. When it's just a little too small, it won't go down over the contact you need to cover up with like the connection where your wire connects to your battery connector. If you can get a set of these pliers with the long thin tips, put it in, expand it out just a little bit on the end. So I'm going to make this a little bigger without ripping it, and then do that 2 ways. Expand it out a little like so. If that focuses, I doubt it, it never does. There it goes. So expand it out a little, hold it. We're going to let it go and then get it down over before it shrinks back up. Alright, and all of a sudden it's down over our connection that we need to make there. So let's do one more off of the same heat shrink. Right, there we are, we got that way. We're going to spin it 90 degrees, stretch it a little further, pull it off, and this time go over the other wire. Now when you shrink that stretching you did is going to shrink right back up. It's actually going to shrink over time. Just down in, pretty good. Let's go ahead and switch over. Before we shrink it all the way, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that it's pulled down. They are pulled down tight to our battery connector, and we'll just go ahead and shrink those the rest of the way. Alright, now if anything touches in that area, it's not going to connect, not going to, you know, arc and short out the battery, short out the electronics. They're covered. We're good to tin this one here. Is that set to autofocus? If it is, that's pretty maddening. Let's configure video quick and look. I think it is, but I could be wrong. No, guess not. Let's put it on and see how it acts. If it acts the full or what. If it don't act foolish, well then we'll know. Hard to get these C920s to hold focus. I think a mirrorless or a DSLR might be a little better. Alright, let's get our soldering iron turned on. We're going to take it up. We got to get it hot. The temp is cooling down on our hot air gun. We can let it run. It's not cooking anything. And we will remove our black wire from here. I'm going to be careful not to hit whatever this sensor, temp sensor wire, whatever it is there, and our red wire, keep them out of the way, and pull that off of there. At the same time, we also need to tin our black wire. Let's get our helping hands. Oh boy, that was a lot of fun. And our red wire, I guess we can tin it while it's here too. Soldering iron heated up. We need our solder. We got that wire tin. It's not twisted. We have to connect it to the other one. Pull that out and get to work on this red one. When soldering, it's always good to have it well ventilated, as well as if you can get a fume extractor when working with the flux, the solder, everything, that would be good. Working with this stuff is poisonous. It's not going to kill you 1, 2, 10 sittings, but if you're doing it repetitively, like day in, day out at a job, a fume extractor is a very good idea. We now need to remove this black wire, so let's put some heat to it. If you're having a hard time getting your soldering iron to heat up said solder, put some new solder on it. That always helps. Get solder warm. Let's just hope this gun goes high enough. 480 should remove that. This is going to take a minute to heat it up. Alright, so we are heating it up. We're going to go beside the wire now. They've got a thick blob of solder on here. It is heating it, just not all the way through yet. There we go. Wire off. That took a little bit. Now, is that leaded solder? Do we bother cleaning all that off? Is it lead free? I think. Did I see a lead free marking on this? Or is it on the other battery? 3. Well, let's go ahead and clean some of it off of there with some solder wick. How much do we have? Probably not enough in here. No, not even close. Not even close. Let's get some off anyhow. Hopefully we don't glue this in place. That may end up happening here. Actually, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get some flux on our solder wick. Heat it up, it will pull solder through it. And we've got some on that massive blob of solder. Why not heat it back up? Because I want to get the wire down as flat as possible. We're going to see some smoke rolling. And that should hopefully start wicking that solder off of that pad there. Indeed it is. It's just being messy because of the flux. And this is the stuff, if you're doing every day, it'd be a good idea to get a fume extractor. And let's go ahead and clean a little bit more off there, then we'll go ahead and clean that contact up with some alcohol. There we go, cleaned off for the most part. That took quite a bit of solder wick, and that is heavy with solder. Wow. All right. Get our alcohol. I know it's not your normal IPA or alcohol bottle, but that is what's in there. You just have to take my word on it. Clean up this a little bit. There's still a little bit of solder left around the edges once we get some of our non-leaded solder on there. I'm pretty sure that was leaded, just how hard it was to heat up. Look at that, yum. Leftover flux. Yay. Flux does two things for people that don't know too. One, it cleans, like kind of cleans up corrosion in that area, and then two, it makes solder go where it's supposed to. If you couldn't tell by the flux that was on that solder wick, and the solder just, I mean, solder's going to run right out it anyhow, but I noticed it always works a little better. Seems to work a little quicker to me anyways, whenever oh, was that my temp? And that was my fan? Okay, let's do that. Let's turn the fan down. Fan up, temp down. And prepare our battery here for going on to there. And that did come off of there fairly straight. We're going to trim the end of this off just to make the part contacting the pad a little shorter, about the same, a little less than the same width as the pad. We're going to put down a base of solder here. Keep it hot. Let's connect the two. When soldering, you do want to hold it still if possible. You don't want to end up with a cold solder joint by moving it around too much. I'm going to go one step further. And get out our helping hands again. Can we clip the board without hurting anything? We're going to go ahead and clip onto the board and clip the wire there. Move it down, and that should keep our wire close to where we want it. Maybe go a little closer. There we go. Now we've got some hands-free to flow that massive blob of solder on there. good sturdy connection like they had. Originally, just a different type of solder, I believe. Without a doubt, some went into our wire. No harm, no foul. That's on. Now we need to make this connection here. Going to keep with the going by the original picture. And this is where we're going to make a splice. Boy, do I want it there? I don't want it too close to that one. Alright, there's that. What happens if I do that all over? Let's do it all over. I'm going to cut that. Restrip it. And quarter inch. Lines up good. We need to tin our wire here, so let's do that quick. Give it a little twist to keep it together. Say we let this cool down, and then we'll put the heat shrink that fit the same size that we did here. We're gonna oh no, we're not gonna get it over our joint. We would be lucky to. We're gonna have to go with a bigger piece. Let's burn one of these real quick to see. We're going to see if it shrinks up to the proper size. Temp up on the gun. Fan up. Okay, yeah, it will. It will. I was too cautious on some of them. Alright, let's go ahead and get a piece of heat shrink that we know is going to cover that joint. Put it on this side away from any and all heat. Well, as far as we can away from the heat of soldering these together. Okay, pliers, pliers, pliers. Go there. No. We're going to go on this side. I'm going to work on heating them both, bring them together. The solder should start puddling together if it's hot. Try and hang on, let that solder cool down. We're going to need something to hold that next time here. And this is where it gets tricky, when you need more than a couple hands. Take that out of there, inspect our joint. We've got a good amount of solder on it, still not completely happy with it, so what are the red handles here? That would be a blessing if they were. If not, we'll go with what we got. I don't think they are here. I think they're at home from the last soldering project that I did at home. We're going to add a little more to the outside here without all the way entirely. And then the same thing. And we're flip it over and attempt to get it here as well. Can we do that? What if we stand it on edge a little? That's actually the solder that was already on there, so I don't call that a perfect joint. I call that done. It will hold. Let's go ahead and heat it up. A little bit of heat shrink, a little bit of heat. Makes magic happen. Going to the other side now to finish it. There's that connection. Okay, let's look at the rest of our guide. I thought we had to solder the battery. I guess not. As long as all these connections were made right. And if this is a stock battery, well then we're good. No solder into the battery. That's perfect. No blowing up in my face. No looking dumb with sunglasses on inside. Oh. No kidding though. I didn't do it. You should wear eye protection when you're soldering. I guess that's one of those do as I say, not as I do things. Yeah, okay, Dad. Okay, let's look at our instruction manual for dummies here and see. Right now we're going to cut the waste off. Another little thing I like to do so my solder wick don't unfray is I leave a little bit where there's solder and flux in on the end. It keeps it together, and I throw away all the stuff with solder in it. You're never going to get solder out and reuse it. Looking at this, this is starting to resemble our picture, and if we join those two up, that would be a similar thing. So we're just simulating now, so that is definitely starting to resemble our picture. Put that board up a little closer. Yeah, you just got to use your imagination, boys and girls. It sort of resembles that picture. Not in its entirety. We don't have the battery charger. That's starting to look like it. I think that's done. If that's that, I'll be happy. We're going to turn our soldering iron down, clean the tip bit off while, and to help cool it down a little. Alright, next page. This would be method 2. The method I did not want to get into, taking the wires direct. Yeah, that did just, nope, did not look fun. Unless that's what he wanted done, maybe? I don't know. He didn't say method 1 or 2. If you could let me know, bud, that would be good. I should, wait a minute. Yeah, there's 2 methods to doing it. I'm not mistaken, right? Do not remove your face protection. Let's go back to this page where we were. And that shows the completed circuit that I did. Okay, so step 3. 2 popular methods to connect the BMS. That's the replacement battery connected to the BMS, so that's method 1. Let's start with the replacement battery. Okay, the other popular method to attach the BMS to your replacement battery is to solder the wires directly between the replacement battery and the BMS leads we exposed above. And that's actually opening up the battery pack. If it needs to be done to that scale, I'll do it. I don't think it does. I think, as far as I know, there's going to be room in there. He said he's printing a cover. And how it all packs in there, I don't know. I guess that's going to be up to him. Okay, never mind. I see what they're doing here. I see what they're doing here. So, 52 is there. That would wrap. That would wrap. That goes on there. So that means you've got a... That's all wrong. That wire don't come out that side. Are you kidding me? It comes out that side. So if that goes down, back up. Yeah. And the BMS, those would connect in the middle. That's the balance. There's not much room inside that. So you're going to shrink wrap it all together after they're all connected. Wow. That is crazy. I think we may have to do the other solder method. I think these battery leads are going to come off and go right to the board. We're going to have to call this guy and talk to him. I went by the first method, thinking that was good, but looking, reevaluating this, and if I waste anybody's time, I'm sorry, reevaluating the size. Okay, we got to kind of go by the bottom. So we know that is going to be up there, which will put this battery in here like this, and that there. Okay, so there's more room than I initially gave it credit for, but there's still not much, and I don't think that is going to be an option, even if you fold that down and then crunch these other power leads in between. you're still talking about doing 180 degrees with this battery here. Doing a turn like that is not going to happen, not with these thick wires. So I do believe this is coming off and it's going to get soldered direct, and maybe he wanted it like this so he could undo. There's positive and negatives, pros and cons, positive and negatives to doing it both ways. One, if we leave these connectors here where they're not hardwired to the battery, why didn't he just do that? Or maybe the soldering iron didn't get hot enough, I don't know. Plus I'm checking over all the other connections according to the guide. And then two, if he wants to replace his own battery with the connectors like this, he can. But it's going to be a much tighter fit. Maybe these should be shortened up. Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that you got the battery there. And that's going to go there. It goes there. Yeah, you are not. I mean, maybe on a good day you're making that turn. That would be more something you would have to heat shrink, zip tie to keep that in that position. And then the other one goes up and plugs in. Yeah, that's... Let me check that. Wow. You're talking just barely not wide enough. So no, yeah. Okay, so that's that. We didn't blow anything up, and that's because we didn't do any soldering on the actual battery itself like I initially thought, but we may have to come back and do that. I'm going to call that done. Both my gun and my soldering iron are both cooled down. That's good for today. If indeed this needs packed up and shrink wrapped the way it is, that's going to be a fun process. To be determined. I don't have the answer right now, but I'm going to go ahead and get it. And if we have to come back and undo some wires and connect, we're getting rid of these little rinky-dink wires. I see the positive sides to both of it now. One, it's a permanent way, but it's a much smaller space because you lose this extra wire, you're losing this extra wire here, you're basically removing your balance lead here, and these, where this joint is, you're losing this stuff. But he has all this wiring that he did, so I'm kind of thinking he wants to go the route of being able to replace the cells at will. Just grab a whole new pack and put it in. That's going to be a job, heat shrinking that stuff, and we will definitely need the epoxy behind that. And that's something I'm going to inform him of to see if he has more of this. If not, I have shrink wrap at home that does this size stuff. It's actually a little bigger and a lot thicker, so it'll be a little more sturdy than this thin plasticky stuff. That's being that. No lipo fires today, people. Thank you for watching. I'm going to wrap up and get out of here. Station's off. And clean up a few tools while we're waiting. So I may be back soldering again tomorrow, changing it around, but I don't know. What would you do? If you want to leave a comment, leave that comment. Let me know. What would you do? Which path would you take? Would you hardwire this circuit board to the battery, and then the next time that you want to change the battery out, you got to open the battery up and undo a lot of stuff? Like undo all the soldering and risk, I mean, you're risking a fire. If you cross wires, you could arc it out, ruin the battery. You're risking a few things, you know, ruining the battery, shorting stuff out, shorting out electronics. If any of the tube leads would hit in contact on here, you're putting voltage direct to your board, risking fire when you're opening it. So do you go the hardwired route and make it fit into less space? Or do you go with the route where you can change the cell out whenever you wish? You just have to repack it in some shrink wrap. You know, like which way would you go? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. We are going to be back here tomorrow. Hopefully not doing this, but if we are, hey, we're going to have fun, right? That's the whole point, having fun, getting some stuff done, not getting injured. Thanks again for watching. Thumbs if you liked it. If you want to watch it all the time, do what everybody else does. Do the subscribe thing. Hit the little bell so you're notified. I don't know, do you get notified when I go live? Or just upload a video? I am working on a few videos to upload some content that is not this live stream stuff, so they'll have a little bit more finesse to them than this we'll do it live and make mistakes thing. Really? Yeah. I didn't see it happening either. Have a good evening, people. I will see you tomorrow with another Let's Get It Done project. Did we make out? Yes, we did. How, why, sometimes it is not disclosed by said machine. There we go. Have a good evening.